Hello one more time, Manna Church. Pastor Jeff here, and welcome to the final day of our study of thankfulness for Morning Manna. Over the last 5 days, we've discussed how difficult times can easily derail us from living a life of thankfulness to God. But it's in those difficult times that it's particularly important to choose thankfulness. Well, I want to end this week's study by suggesting a biblical and very practical method for remaining thankful. And that's by intentionally recalling times when God has brought victory into our lives. I like to think of this as setting up memorial stones because there's a particular place in Scripture where this stands out really clearly. In Joshua 3, we see Israel preparing to cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land. Now, they've been waiting a long time for this crossing. They've literally just come out of 40 years of wandering in the desert because of their lack of faith regarding getting into the Promised Land in the first place. So they blew this same event 40 years before, and they paid a heavy price for it. And now in Joshua 3, they're there again, and they don't want to screw it up. But after all their preparation, both physically and spiritually, they get to the Jordan to cross it, and it's in flood stage. The waters are swollen, the current is too strong, and the river cannot be crossed. Can you imagine how their hearts must have sunk in that moment? But then God does something incredible. In a miracle that resembles what he did for Israel under Moses at the Red Sea, God holds back the waters of the Jordan and gives Israel dry land to get across. Now, I want you to go with me to Joshua 4, verses 1 through 7 and verse 9. It says, "When all the nation had finished passing over the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, 'Take 12 men from the people, from each tribe a man, and command them, saying, Take 12 stones from here, out of the midst of the Jordan, from the very place where the priest's feet stood firmly, and bring them over with you, and lay them down in the place where you lodge tonight.' Then Joshua called the 12 men from the people of Israel, whom he had appointed, a man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, 'Pass on before the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of the Jordan, and take up each of you a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the people of Israel, that this may be a sign among you. When your children ask in time, What do those stones mean to you? Then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it passed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall be to the people of Israel a memorial forever." Israel gathered up these stones to set up a monument, a memorial to how God had come to their rescue. They did this so that they would remember, and so that they could tell their children and grandchildren to remember it as well. What are you thankful for? What victories has God brought to you? And where are your memorial stones? We need to build into our lives ways of remembering what God has done so that we remember to be thankful. I'm not kidding. I actually have reminders in my phone set to go off at least once a week to remind me to stop and reflect on specific things God has done, to practice thankfulness. You know why I do that? Because I have found that the good things that God has done seem to leak out of my mind much faster than the bad things that have happened. The memories of the negative stuff, they seem to hang around pretty easily. I don't have to try to remember those. But remembering the good stuff, I have to work a lot harder at that. And I'm guessing I'm not the only one that that's true of. So I set reminders. I've put memorial stones in those places so that I remember to thank him, so that I can teach my children about his goodness through what he has done. Pastor Michael has often said in times of darkness, we tend to question what God has made clear to us in the light. And we all know that darkness comes. And it's in that darkness that we forget about the goodness of God. It's in that darkness that we need to be reminded of all he has done. It's in that darkness that we need those memorial stones in front of us. Let me encourage you. Recall the times of God's faithfulness to you. Thank him for those. And find ways to build reminders, memorial stones into your life so that you remember his goodness regularly and can help your children to do the same. Good to be with you this week, Manna Church. I look forward to doing it again. God bless you.